I'm at a loss for words. I mean, every time the Jazz show signs that they are moving in the right direction, they seem to get blown out the very next game. And usually that next game that they get blown out in is on the road, more often than not. Like this last game against the Clippers, right? They showed real signs of moving in the right direction, playing connected defense, looking like they were building chemistry. They were just showing signs of moving in the right direction against the Clippers, and then they go on the road and get blown out. Right? Like this game again, like this last game against the OKC Thunder. They get blown out. Just annihilated. There's a question I've been asking myself for a while now, and that question is, can the Jazz have a successful season this year? Well, I really think it depends on your definition of success. For me, success would mean simply making the play-in. So if that's your definition of success, then this year has probably been a little disappointing, if not very disappointing. But it gets kind of interesting when you peel back the layers and look a little bit deeper into the Jazz and their losses and wins as well. This team is just so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's kind of funny. When it comes to their home and away games, their home record is like 6-5, right? They seem like a decent team at home. And then on the road, they are 1-11. I don't know. I don't get it. This team has glaring issues, and that's pretty obvious, right? But how are they so much better at home than they are on the road? The first thing I thought of was maybe the opponents, right? The opponents have been harder on the road. Maybe that's it. But let's take a look at who they played at home. So far, the Jazz wins at home have come against the following teams. Okay, the Clippers, Grizzlies, Blazers, Pelicans twice, so Pelicans, and Blazers. And the Clippers are a good team, and that was pre-James Harden trade, pre-6-game losing streak after acquiring James Harden. And the Pelicans have beat some quality teams, so that's not an easy win there. But the rest have been Grizzlies and the Blazers. Okay, well, so that kind of explains the home record, at least. But I mean, even against the teams they lost to at home, at least they're not getting blown out, right? They were competitive against the Suns. They were competitive against the Orlando Magic, who, by the way, are actually a pretty good team this year. The Orlando Magic are pretty good. I'm actually surprised to see how good they have been and how good they continue to be, and it makes me really happy for Joe Ingles that he is on a much better team than I thought they were going to be this year. Kind of the polar opposite of the Jazz. I thought the Jazz were going to be a lot better this year, and they've been just garbage. They have just been a dumpster fire of a team. So I'm definitely happy for Joe Ingles that he's on a competitive team, a competitive roster, and definitely excited to see what Joe Ingles' career looks like on the Orlando Magic. But anyways, back to the Jazz. To be honest, most of the time the Jazz look sloppy on offense, getting into possessions without any real plan. They look disconnected on defense, well, until recently anyways. That disconnect, though, I think plays a huge part in why they aren't as good on the road. Because on the road, you have to be connected. You have to have chemistry. When the Jazz went on a run against the Clippers, they got stops collectively. And they made the unselfish play on offense. But what happened when the Clippers made a run? The defense was actually pretty good still. It was the 1 or 0 pass possessions that led to the offense getting so stagnant. So many times the Jazz would try to get a quick shot and not necessarily the best shot. Every time I would see Colin Sexton, come off a pin down and get the ball and just shoot. I mean, sure, he was open, so yeah, why not? But when the Jazz would go on a run, they moved the ball. They passed the ball, got everyone involved, and it led to wide open shots that were the best possible shot you can take. And it worked really, really well, and the Jazz would go on a run. And the Clippers would go on a run when the Jazz would stop doing that, when they would stop passing the ball, they would stop moving the ball and making the unselfish play. To be completely honest, the longer this year goes on, the more reality is setting in for me. And that reality is this team is just talent deficient. That's just factual. This team isn't as talented as I thought they would be. Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji haven't had a second year leap. If anything, they have had more of a sophomore slump. The turnovers are also indicative of a lack of talent. It's indicative of a lack of connectivity and chemistry, especially the type of turnovers being committed. Not all turnovers are created equal. Most of the Jazz turnovers are careless passes, or they're just being pickpocketed on easy drives to the basket, and they lead to live ball turnovers. Live ball turnovers make it much harder because you're playing transition defense a lot more as opposed to having a set defense. And while the defense has been better as of late, the pairing of Walker Kessler, John Collins, and Lauri Markkanen has just not worked out the way I thought it would have on defense. However, I think if Walker Kessler and Agbaji can turn it around and the Jazz can fix the turnover issue, this team could be much better. But the Jazz are running out of time to fix it. They are running out of time to fix the turnover issue. And Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji are running out of time to have that second year leap. And that's what's so frustrating for me as a Jazz fan is the Jazz seem to make real strides towards being a team that can compete on a night in, night out basis. And then they turn around and do what they did against OKC. And it's games like that that not only make it frustrating, but also shed a light on the biggest issue of all. Again, talent. We lack it. The Jazz lack talent. The Jazz are young with a young core, and they can get better with time and experience, but they are running out of time and games to get experience. If pushed, I would say that the Jazz are capable of turning this around and being a much more competitive team. But I don't know. Every time I see a blowout loss, I lose hope in this year. And I guess it's to be expected of a rebuilding team. But I don't know. I thought this team was going to be a lot better than the team we are seeing now. But again, though, I assumed that Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji would have that second year leap, and so far they just haven't. And the chemistry has not been where it needs to be for a team that can compete. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked the content, found it useful or entertaining, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. It would really help me out. If you didn't like it, please let me know what you didn't like or how it can be improved. And no matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly, we'll react to it here on React to NBA. Thanks for watching.